side of the stream, Mike the Intern and Jay Stevens, watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio for another riveting edition of Dark Side of the Stream. This episode is our 233rd episode.
Wow.
My pick is my pick this week, wasn't it?
Yes, your pick.
It's called Pee-wee as Himself. The documentary is on the newly renamed HBO Max, which I don't think we kept calling it HBO Max.
Well, I think we were ahead of the curve because we used to call it HBO Max.
It was stupid. Why would they? It's
and then
HBO.
they went to Max. I don't think we ever accepted the change.
No,
we stayed HBO Max.
It's always HBO.
And now they came back to us.
Yeah.
Now it's HBO Max.
Because we forced them to. It was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they're big listeners of the show. I think the heads of
what
HBO.
What a dumb idea that was. So I'm glad they just, I guess we kept calling it HBO Max because that's what it is, and it still will always be that, but it'll always be HBO to me. So this documentary was very, very awesome. I grew up in this wheelhouse where Pee-wee was literally what I watched on Saturday mornings forever. I had every toy from that playhouse. I had Cherry. I had the robot.
Wow,
I had everything. Really? I had the Pee-wee Herman doll. Even still to this day, as a man in his early 40s, I still watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure at least once a month. At least. It's like
once a month,
it's like chicken noodle soup for my soul. I love that movie so much. It's perfect in every way. The acting, the writing, the comedy, the directing, the world that they built. You couldn't have asked for a better, like, just aligning of the stars, getting
Tim
Burton, and then, of course, Phil Hartman, who co-wrote the movie with Pee-wee. And we'll get into that stuff later. But so from that perspective, it was huge. But then again, to see all the stuff that led up to it that I didn't really know.
I had no clue about.
How he was an actor, his family, all that stuff.
And how it was kind of a stage thing they kind of threw together. And
they were all in
gained traction.
They were all in an acting club
Groundlings.
together.
I've been to the Groundlings to see stuff there.
Yeah, and that, and along with obviously Phil Hartman that we mentioned, who at the time was just making album covers.
Up and cover,
we did America's History, which I've known that forever.
When Jimi Hendrix played at the Whiskey or the Troubadour, Phil Hartman was like a 17, 18-year-old just like stagehand guy, and he had to stand there and hold the PA speakers from falling over while Hendrix played to like 3 feet away from Hendrix.
Sitting there humping the other side of it.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
So it's a story of perseverance, and it's a story of a guy who literally was just doing whatever because in the beginning he just wanted to be a serious actor. That's why he went to L.A. was just to be an actor, got involved in it, but then like really his first experience as being any kind of like stand-up or whatever was after he got a manager said, we're booking you on a 20-date tour of the United States.
Yeah.
And then off he went, and while he did it, he figured it out.
And if you put butts in seats, there you go, and he did.
And
but
came
looking back at it, see, I was older, so I didn't grow up on the Pee-wee's Playhouse thing. I knew it existed, but I wasn't watching it. But now, in retrospect, after watching this, I could see how, yes, it was for kids, but it was also so twisted and wacky that the stoners.
In the beginning, it was. At the beginning, it was more. There was a lot of double entendres. There was a lot of that stuff. But then, after the movie and everything, they came to him and said, "Do you want to do a children's show?" And he goes, "This would be a great opportunity to kind of give my perspective of how it's cool to be different. It's okay to be nonconformist."
The way he had characters in there. And he didn't like blatantly try to push anything on you, but it was
inclusive.
Just yeah.
But it was always there were just things where that never were answered either, and that's part of why he did this documentary, which in itself was very Paul Rubens and how it came about and how it was finished. And we'll talk about that next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
Dark Side of the Stream, Mike the Intern and Jay Stevens. Watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio, episode 233, Dark Side of the Stream. This week we did Pee-wee as Himself on HBO Max. So, Again, Pee Wee passed away in 2023 after a 6-year battle with cancer. Nobody knew about.
Anybody. Yeah, gangster.
Nobody knew about
Gangster
it,
play,
including the director and makers and producers of this movie. You can tell that after the fact that he made the conscious decision to kind of answer some things and talk about some things he never did with this, but in his own way, still kept things to himself. And that was his cancer diagnosis, because they still had one more interview to do with him, but he passed away a week before it was
Thankfully, he recorded a little thing right there at the end.
Yeah.
The day before he died.
Yeah, he was able to like get out what he knew that he wanted to get out in the last few minutes of his life.
Well, I'm glad he put this out, too, because, you know, when you think of Pee Wee and Paul Reubens, you think of, there was some scandals.
Obviously, the controversy.
But when you hear it explained this way, you're like, man, what a drag for this dude.
Well,
man, you know?
Yeah, and it was...
It's hard to shake when somebody labels you as pedophile or something like that. That's hard to shake, dude. You know,
what's unfortunate is that in this world, especially at that time period, for him to come out as gay after everything, because it was too late. Once he blew up, he knew that if he had done that, it wouldn't have worked for him.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you they wouldn't have given him a children's show. Good, bad, or indifferent is ridiculous to think of.
I mean, just you think back to those times, that's incredibly sad.
But times.
It's just, you know, we evolve as people, I guess.
Look what he did. He was amazing. But again, so if he had gotten ahead of it and admitted, then what had happened in that movie theater would have made perfect sense as to why he was there. Yeah. It was just to meet other guys.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, when that gets brought up, especially in like Reddit or whatever forums there's always someone that lives in that town and was from that area that knew what that theater was.
That's where you go there.
And it was like, well,
which is why they were having a sting there. The police were having a sting, because that's what goes on there.
He was a victim of that. And again, had he been in front of it, it probably wouldn't have blown up to that.
It was just
since he was quiet about it, and didn't really say anything about it, and it wasn't anyone's business. Again, that's the thing, is like we feel like we're due as society when it comes to fame, and these people, like they don't owe us anything.
Yeah.
They make art. We either buy the art or watch the art, and then that's it.
That's where
you don't owe anybody you don't owe people that
stuff. The problem is, though, when you that level of fame, if you want to achieve that level of fame, you do sign.
Well, you sacrifice.
You sign your life away.
Well, and he's right. He's
and
signed.
Some people you don't really want to do that, but it's just part of the game.
And
man, you know,
he knew that he had signed away his privacy and secrecy for fame. And he knew, because he even said, like, after the first movie came out, nobody knew I was behind it because it said Paul Reubens. Yeah. No one had any idea who I was, which, again, is what he wanted by design.
Very cool. And then that got exposed with the mugshot.
And then eventually with the mugshot and all that stuff, that's how they figured it out. And that just sucks. But we'll get back to his resurrection.
Yeah, his comeback.
And honestly, I thought, we'll talk about that next. I'm just going to get fanboy over this guy next. Let's just do it in another segment on Dark Side of the Stream. Next on 104.7 The Cave.
Dark Side of the Stream, Mike the Intern and Jay Stevens. Watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio. It's Dark Side of the Stream, episode 233, doing Pee Wee as himself this week. So, obviously, you had to go through the controversy, and after everything's said and done, it was just an unfortunate situation, but he wasn't really doing anything wrong.
Yep, and he rose out of it, man.
And he comes back, really kind of laid low for a long time. We didn't talk about this, but after the first movie, talking about the house that he had for his whole life.
Bought a little small house in the Hollywood Hills, nothing fancy.
But perfect.
I
mean, especially for a guy like him.
Yeah.
And that pool where you could literally jump off the diving board, see the Hollywood sign.
Yep.
I mean, that's beautiful. That's so. And if you've ever been to that part of Hollywood, it's gorgeous. But it's so cool that exists literally right in the middle of
a hidden part of the madness.
LA.
Yeah, hidden part of the madness.
It's like you can see animals and all these kind of things,
deers and stuff.
And then
you go down the hill a mile. You're at the Sunset Strip. Yeah.
There's a homeless camp on the corner.
Mm-hmm,
it's a wild place. But anyway. lays low for a while, and then really what brings him out of obscurity is Johnny Depp in Blow. I think that was the first really
he had
real.
A couple other little parts, but that was the big one.
That was the one where he got a recognition
critical acclaim
as an actor. As
not
Paul
Pee-wee,
Rubens,
not Pee-wee,
and not
right.
Pee-wee. And I thought he did phenomenal in that movie. And I remember watching it going, God, I'm so happy that he's doing something outside of that character to show that he has versatility, that he has depth as an actor.
Yeah.
And he did phenomenal. And then, of course, a few years later, he would resurrect the Pee-wee character and do the next film on Netflix, which, again, I thought was phenomenal. I thought he did a great job of capping it. They go through Big Top Pee-wee and all the stuff that they put in. I personally think Big Top Pee-wee is a great movie.
Yeah, I guess that one wasn't as critically acclaimed as the first.
It was just a different type of film, and I think they expected The Big Adventure 2, which it wasn't.
Very funny of him, though, to be so artsy that he wanted to put in the longest kissing scene in a movie, and he wanted to break the record. And you show it, and it's very uncomfortable.
How long it goes?
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable. But to do that as like an artistic joke,
it's hilarious. But also, I've seen that movie a billion
and you
times,
never thought about
and
it?
I never realized. I always go,
that's a weird scene. That's a weird scene.
And I probably always just didn't pay attention or just did something else because it is kind of uncomfortable how long they hold it. But it's like, it's the little things that he did like that, especially through this documentary. You're like, oh my God.
Like the dog eating dog food one, too. He did the same thing.
Again,
too long of a shot.
Same thing we were watching. I was like,
but
this
he
is
did
uncomfortable.
Artistic, yeah.
It makes you feel uncomfortable. But so Big Top Pee-wee, I thought was a lot better than it got its due. But then, of course, resurrecting it with the Netflix movie, I thought was
and then going
phenomenal.
out and doing one final Pee-wee tour with the whole gang, the Playhouse gang.
Yeah.
But, awesome.
It was just incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. We'll be back in a little bit to talk about our reviews of it. Next, Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
Dark Side of the Stream, Mike the Intern and Jay Stevens, watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio one more time. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 233. It is Pee-wee as himself. I would give this a perfect score of 5.
100%. Me too.
Easily.
I knew nothing about the whole backstory of Pee-wee's Playhouse and how it came to be, and it was incredible to watch. And just the whole thing, and then you feel really bad for the guy, but
well, I mean, no,
he lived a great life, dude.
You can't feel bad for him. I mean, the cancer thing obviously is horrible because he was taken a lot earlier than he should have.
Well, the railroading thing, the pornography thing.
That part sucked. But again, that's the chance you take when you get to that level, and if it is what it is. Don't feel bad because of he got to. I mean, you look back through all the footage. That dude was everywhere forever.
Yeah.
And wrote out something that we should all be so lucky to have to experience.
Cool. It was awesome.
It's horrible what he went through, but in the end, he came out on the other side okay. He stayed who he was.
Yep.
Even up to the end, you can watch those interviews, and it's him.
It's good.
You can tell the director's getting upset and angry because
you can see he still wanted control. He was very controlling
he was. Yeah. I mean, so much so to the point where everyone involved in that show were like, dude, even the opening credits that we did, it was like weeks
over and over again. He'd point out little things he wanted to change. Yeah, just say, but a perfectionist, But
it was his baby, and it paid off. I mean, it's so perfect. Even now, when you watch those shows, like I said, I grew up watching that show every Saturday as a kid, and I sometimes go on Pluto because they run it, and I watch it, and it's just like I said, it's chicken soup for the soul, man.
Very cool.
But yeah, it was an incredible life. And I'm glad that he finally decided to show us it all.
Yeah,
because
I'm glad that they showed
when they took all that stuff out of storage that he had, including the bike, part of that show, it was unbelievable. And the director says it off camera. He goes, aren't you glad that we're doing this? Because if you hadn't done this, all those thousands of hours of footage and photos and all these things that no one has ever seen before, the relationship he had before he got famous, all that stuff, Nobody would have known.
Yeah. Hey, I learned a lot and I loved it. So
yeah, it was phenomenal. Watch
we will watch something that probably won't learn as much from next week. The Tylenol Murders, Netflix. I don't know. It just came out. I haven't seen it yet. So
okay. We'll watch about why we have those stupid labels on the bottle.
Is that what it's about?
Probably. I'm assuming.
The childproof things that
I'm
we have?
assuming that's what it is because I don't think they ever caught the guy. I don't think they ever knew.
I barely remember it, but I just remember for a while somebody was going around tainting Tylenol or something. So, all right, we'll find out.
We'll figure it out. As always, watch us do this live on Facebook at 9 a.m. or YouTube at the same time. That's when I play it during my show. Jay does it at 6 p.m. during his. Or you can always download it as a free podcast on our 104.7 The Cave app. I am Mike the Intern, and that's Jay Stevens.
We watch
documentaries.
We
watch movies, so you don't have to. It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.